My story with Elise began a few weeks prior, in a cozy little coffee shop. It was there, amid the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, that fate, or perhaps something darker, led me to her. She was enchanting, with a smile that thawed the coldest heart. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, weaving through hours. We shared a love for the outdoors and hiking. Elise mentioned her sanctuary, the woods just a short drive from her house, where she found solace in short walks whenever she felt down. However, there was an obstacle in my path to true love: Tom, her colleague, whom I would soon come to view as her tormentor. On the eve of Valentine's Day, I found myself at Elise's apartment, invited to what she called a casual get-together. As I arrived, a whirlwind of anticipation and longing consumed me, tinged with a more primal, intense undercurrent. Elise was radiant, her laughter a melodious presence in the room. Tom was there too, casting a shadow over my bright horizon. His demeanor was unsettling, his eyes too sharp, his smile too calculated. I recognized his type, a predator in gentleman's guise. Deep down, I was convinced Elise was in peril. Throughout the evening, I observed their interactions, noting the subtle dynamics of control and fear. Elise seemed like a prisoner in a gilded cage, crafted by Tom's manipulative hands. After the party, lying awake, I was haunted by thoughts of Elise's plight. I felt compelled to protect her, to save her from Tom's clutches, as I had done before in similar situations. Valentine's Day arrived clear and cold. With a bouquet of roses, I stood at Elise's door, ready to be her knight. She greeted me with a bittersweet smile. I suggested a walk to Elise's favorite spot in the woods, despite the advancing evening. Elise was elated. The woods, with their bare, solemn trees, were silent witnesses to our conversation. I shared with Elise my suspicions about Tom, warning her of the danger he posed. She listened, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and dawning realization. But fate had other plans. Tom appeared suddenly, his face contorted with anger. "Stay away from her," Tom screamed. "Elsie, he's not who you think he is," he exclaimed, his eyes flitting between us. His arrival confirmed my fears. He had been following us, hunting his prey. A confrontation ensued, escalating rapidly. Amidst Elise's piercing screams, a struggle broke out. In a heated moment, I pushed Tom, unintentionally hard. He fell, his head striking a rock with a fatal crack. Elise, gripped by panic, fled through the trees, her screams haunting the empty woods. Desperate to explain, to protect her, I pursued her. But it was too late. She tripped, collapsing silently in the snow. As I reached her neck, a sense of déjà vu washed over me. This scene was familiar. I had always been the protector, yet perpetually too late. In the woods, I buried them side by side. Tom, the supposed predator, and Elise, the tragic victim. It was a story that had replayed in my life, time and again. I had been the savior, the warrior against darkness, but always one step behind. The police investigation that followed turned up nothing. The woods kept their secrets, and so did I. In my mind, I had saved Elise from a fate worse than death. I was the hero in this twisted tale. As another Valentine's Day approaches, I find myself in a different coffee shop, my gaze landing on another angel. Her smile lights up the room, yet shadows linger in her eyes, signs of hidden pain, of another tormentor. Catching her eye, I feel a renewed sense of purpose. This time I won't be too late. I will save her, protect her. I am the guardian in the night, the unseen protector. And this time, I will get it right. Valentine's Day was approaching, a day I typically spent in the comfort of solitude. But this year was different. It all started at a quaint bookstore tucked away in the corner of our town. Amidst the labyrinth of shelves and the scent of old pages, I stumbled upon her, engrossed in a book I held dear to my heart. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, a rare connection sparking between us. She was captivating, her laughter echoing in the quiet corners of my world. As Valentine's Day drew closer, she invited me to spend the evening with her, an offer I couldn't resist. The address she gave led me to a house that seemed strangely silent, its interior shrouded in darkness, with only a few lights flickering hesitantly. Inside, the walls were adorned with pictures of unfamiliar faces, suggesting a life that wasn't hers. When questioned, she casually explained she was house-sitting, a detail she had conveniently omitted before. Despite the oddity of the situation, I was drawn in by her charm and the promise of a memorable night. We settled in with a glass of wine, the atmosphere thick with an unspoken anticipation. But as the night unfolded, a heavy drowsiness clouded my senses. The room spun, and a deep darkness enveloped me. I realized too late that the wine had been laced, and I helplessly succumbed to the void. Awakening in a haze, I found myself bound to a bed, the room barely lit by the moon's soft glow through a cracked window. Panic surged through me as I saw her silhouette, a knife gleaming ominously in her hand. Her demeanor was terrifyingly different. She spoke in haunting voices, recounting tales of betrayal and hurt by past lovers, addressing me by a name I didn't recognize. I was consumed by fear, my heart pounding against my chest, every plea for mercy lost in the void of her twisted reality. As I lay there, helpless, I heard a knock at the front door. Her expression twisted into one of alarm, and in a moment of desperation, she fled through a back door, disappearing into the night. The knocking persisted, growing louder. I mustered all the strength I had left and let out a faint cry for help. The door burst open, and the police, alerted by a neighbor who had noticed something amiss, stormed in. They untied me, their voices a distant echo as I processed the gravity of my situation. The police later revealed she had vanished, her identity a mystery, her motives rooted in a troubled past. As I reflect on that harrowing night, I realize how a chance encounter, which I thought was the beginning of a beautiful story, turned into a harrowing ordeal. The memory of her alternating voices, the cold steel of the knife, and the chilling realization of her intentions haunt me. I was seeking a connection, a moment of happiness on Valentine's Day, but instead, I found myself in the midst of a nightmare, narrowly escaping a fate that remains a haunting mystery.